Welcome back to another episode of Born to Be Dope. This week, we're talking all about how to be a voice actor and just get into the industry. Look, I know I've got a cool voice, but you wait till you hear the man with the voice coming up on this next episode of Born to Be Dope.
Had a vision, that made a plan. Put it into practice with the actions of my hands. Put it into practice with my circle and my fam. Had my bad before I became a businessman. This is the illest rhyme I ever wrote. Said I was born to be dope. Come on. This is the illest rhyme I ever wrote. Said I was born to be dope.
All right, welcome. I am Ryan C. Greene. Welcome to Born to Be Dope. This is the show where we help you master, magnify, and monetize your unique dopeness so that you can 10x your impact, influence, and income in your business and personal life. So I'm excited because this is the show where we mix hip hop and personal development. And I'm just all about bringing guests to you who I know can share something with you and help you grow in some area of your life and in your business. So we're excited today. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the show. Let's jump right in. This cool brother right here. You may have heard his voice before you even seen his face, but I promise you that if you're familiar, you probably have seen him on, you probably heard him on, who knows, everything. Now you got the giant commercials, but you the voice of Sheets, gas, I don't know, call it gas, whatever, Sheets.
Gas station convenience.
Yeah. So Marcellus, Bassman, Shepard, the man with the voice. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you for having me, brother. Truly appreciate the opportunity. Always good to be in the company of a fellow alpha man.
Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, now I'm gonna try not to. This is a little uncomfortable for me. So
Wait a minute, you are the one who's always growling on somebody's social media page. Yeah. I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, you got some resonance in there.
I mean, it's there, but you make me feel like a little 13-year-old sometimes. I'm just like, man, I thought I had it, but hey, it's all. We're not gonna do this the whole show, I promise you. But listen, but I want to bring it up because you are the man with the voice, and we want to talk about your story. We want to talk about where you've come from professionally, and how you got to this moniker and just the gift that you have and how it's made room for you. So let's start by just introducing yourself to the 7 people who may not know who Marcellus is.
8, because I got people watching too.
Okay, I'm sorry. So wonderful. So tell us who you are, how you got into this field of media.
Okay, well, for those out there in social media land, my name is Marcellus Bassman Shepard, also known as the man with the voice. I'm an actor, voice actor, syndicated broadcaster, pitmaster, husband, father, and a man that enjoys life in every day and every moment.
I forgot about that pitmaster part, man. We're not even here to talk about the barbecue, but let me tell you something, bro.
Let me tell you something.
Those burnt ends and barbecue too. So yeah, because that's all part of the brand. So that's all. Let's jump into it. Now I met you when you were working. Now we're gonna name. We working on WEAA. All right, so you're working on a radio station. I was doing some stuff for someone else, but you were there and you were doing the jazz stuff and running things there. So that's where I met you. How did you get started in radio? And specifically jazz, because you still, and I'm not calling you old now, but you were young then.
Most definitely.
Most young people aren't really into jazz like that. So tell us how you found that lane.
So I was at the National Treasure, Morgan State University. I went through a couple of phases at Morgan. When I first got there, I was trying to follow in the direction that my parents wanted me to, specifically my father.
Gotcha.
He worked in air conditioning and heating, and it was always his dream that his sons would take over the business. One of my brothers was working with him much closer than I was, hands-on, installs, all of that stuff. I did a little bit of that, but he wanted me to take over the business side, right? So he wanted me to be, initially he wanted me to be an engineer.
Okay.
And a brother took a couple of those math classes and
humble you real quick, huh?
Yeah, math wasn't mathing for me. So I switched over to business. And that didn't last long because I quickly realized, Ryan, that I was trying to live out somebody else's dreams and not mine, right? And even as a young man at the time, I had that realization. And I had aspirations to be a news broadcaster because I always felt I had the smile for TV. But I took a intro to radio class because a colleague of mine was taking it too. Took it. We were training on some old, dilapidated equipment, right, in the radio lab. And one day they took us upstairs to WEAA, which at the time was the third largest African-American radio station in the country, award-winning station, known for its great content. And we were touring the station. I'm seeing all this equipment that I'm not familiar with because it looks totally different from what we had downstairs. And so I asked a question. The program director, Lawrence Shorter, heard my voice. He told me, he said, "You are going to do radio." And I was like, okay.
Right.
So he told me to put together a demo tape. I had no idea how to do that, but I had a colleague who had already interned there that I got with. He helped me put a tape together. I brought it up the next week. A few days later, I get a call from the program director to come up on Friday to talk to him. He said, come up at, it might have been 4:30, 5 o'clock. I got up there. And he said, hey, my host for tonight is called out. I want you to sit in for them. I said,
This is your first time?
Very first time.
Wow.
Didn't know anything, because, you know, downstairs for the board, we had these circular faders, right? Upstairs, you got all of these lights and slide faders. And so anyway, I said, okay. He said, I'll walk you through it, you'll do fine. A couple of hours goes by, and I'm just sick to my stomach, let me tell you. I am pooting and tooting all afternoon long. It comes time for the show. It's the Friday Night Jazz Club.
Okay.
The midday hosts happen to still be in the building. I'm getting ready to go on air. She comes in and she says, oh, who are you? So I introduce myself, tell her that I'm sitting in. And she says, oh, baby, you do good. There's only 100,000 people listening to you. Boy, did my stomach just go crazy.
Oh, she was setting you up.
She did. So anyway, to make a long story short, I did that first hour. And, you know, he gave me a stack of CDs, said, these are your CD players. Talk every 20 minutes. And so I did it, because, you know, I've been listening to the station.
Right, okay.
So was I familiar with all the artists? Most definitely not. After that first hour, he came back in and said, I'm gone for the rest of the night. It's a 4-hour show.
Right.
He stayed for the first hour.
And I was like, do you?
Left me in the station for 3 hours by myself. Now, was it a picture-perfect show? No. Did I get through it? Yes. And it was the best thing he could have ever did for me, was leaving me alone in there to figure it out.
Wow.
About 2 weeks later, I get another call to fill in for another host who was going to be out on Saturday night doing an R&B slow jam show, the Overnight Express. I did that show, and immediately a week after, he offered me that show.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were still a student?
Still a student. I was a junior at the time. So I was broadcasting from 12 to 6 Saturday nights, Overnight Express. Many cats told me that I was responsible for all the babies born in Baltimore from 94 to because in 99, I got a call to go over to 92Q. So I started doing the Love Zone over there. So I was doing late night radio for probably a good 6 years before I switched over and started doing afternoons. And so I was on EAA for like 24 years before I left there. 6 years ago, I left there now to pursue acting full time.
It doesn't even seem like that long. I wish you wouldn't have said it was 24 years. Now I'm like, gee, I really am old. But
I've been in radio. This is my 30th year of broadcasting this year. Because I'm still broadcasting.
Yeah, because you have a national syndicated show. So
let's count that.
Yeah, so talk about that, because and I'm kind of laying the foundation. I'm gonna get into more specifics. I want people to know
your time.
What we're talking about and who you are, so they know you're not just anybody on the radio. But I mean, a national syndicated show. So how do you go from this kid who was thrown in the fire? So now, 30 years later, you got a nationally syndicated, and I know it didn't start just now, but you've been having this nationally syndicated show forever. And actually, I've heard parts of this story about how you got that show, because it was kind of like, it wasn't like people was like, hey, you deserve, here it is on a platter. Like, you had to prove some people wrong about that.
Yeah, well, as far as the Cool Jazz Countdown, nationally syndicated 30 radio stations, you can catch it on Sirius XM as well. I was working I did not create that show. My co-host, Kyle LaRue, who lives down in Orlando, he created the show. Right. I was working as a producer on the show, so when he left the station, I took the show over. So I was doing it by myself for years, and I always, well, not always, but probably a good 10 years into my career, I wanted to, actually about 8 years in, while I was at 92Q, when I left there, I was like, I want to have a syndicated show. Tom Joyner, you know, it blew my mind when I finally found out that Tom Joyner was not in DC.
Right.
That he wasn't in Baltimore, like he's in Texas. Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, because the show sounded as if it was produced, you know, here. Yeah. And so I started to learn more about syndication, and I said, that's what I want. I want my voice to be heard nationwide. And so it took a few years, but I said, if I'm going to do this, I want to bring Kyle back into the fold and do it together, paying homage to him as he was the creator of the show. And so I brought him back in, and we started doing it together. And it took me a good 3 years before I finally got syndication, because I did it on my own. Okay. I didn't go to a company and say, hey, here's a show that I want to take nationally. It was our baby, so I got on the phone, like daily, weekly, calling radio stations, got 10,000 no's.
So what do you say? Like, now, we're going to get into this. I like to say my shows are like free workshops. I'm going to ask you some questions now. So what did you do? Like, you calling these states, I never knew you did it on your own. So to build this on your own, what's that phone call like? What are you offering to a station?
So I'm calling, I'm introducing myself, telling them who I am in the radio space, not just as a host, you know. I'm a program director, I'm a music director. I know what's happening in the jazz world, right? I have my pulse on everything, and I know the artists, I'm in touch with the artists. So I had to let them know exactly who I was first and foremost, before saying, hey, I also have this platform that I think would be a good fit for your station. What folks need to realize with radio, you know, every slot on every station is taken, right? Especially in the public radio world, where you have some stations that have had hosts on there for upwards of 30 plus years, right? And then even on community stations, like some of these folks will leave it in their will that their show goes to somebody else, right? Which is crazy. On the public radio side, not as much. But most folks in radio, like, their show doesn't go away unless they pass away or they're fired, right? So many stations do not have slots for a new show, right? Unless it's in the overnight. I didn't want to be in the overnight because I felt that our programming was top tier and that it deserved to be in primetime slots. So it's all about timing with all of these stations, right? So I would call, hey, this is the show, this is who I am, I think it would be a great addition to your programming schedule, right? And I had to do research on these stations just to let them know that I'm just not, you know, going through the phone book, calling every station out there, you know. I know your programming, I know your listenership, you know, I'm telling them some of the things that they already know about their market, and saying that we think it would be a great fit. So a lot of them would listen to the show and say, hey, great show, but I don't have any space for it, you know. Try us back, you know. So there were a lot of those conversations. But then finally I talked to a general manager down in Jackson, Mississippi, Jenna Carter Simmers, may she rest in peace. I talked to her, we hit it off, sent her the show, she listened, followed up, the call was great. And she said, okay, I'm about to make some programming changes. I have a slot available for you. Yeah, that was 2008. So I've been in syndication since 2008. That was the first station. And after that first one, within 3 months, got another one, another 6 months, got a third. And I got my first 16 stations on my own before I was added to the NPR distribution through the African American Radio Consortium.
You said a lot there. One, and I hope y'all listening, you researched everybody you went to.
Gotta research.
Right? Because we understand that not just in syndication, but anything. People are watching, you're trying to get on some kind of platform. But so is everybody else. So when you called them or reached out to them, maybe you sent a letter back then, whatever it may have been, you could say you were able to show them that you weren't just, hey, pick me. You like, look, I'm invested in you as well as a station. I know, and I've taken the time to research, so that's important as well. Do you think it was harder getting that first one or the 10th one? Like, what was it for that first one? Once you got it, you was like, all right. And I know, because I know it's still a time, but like, what do you feel like?
I think it was that first one, right? And I say that because after I got the first, I realized that I could fill more than one void with some of these stations. So in addition to offering up my show, to some of them I would say, hey, I'm also a music consultant, so if you need any assistance, right, in putting together playlists or getting music delivered from all of these labels, because not every station has connections with the labels, with the reps to get that distribution into their house. So I said, I can assist you with that. So there were some stations I was not on that I started consulting for. And then after that, they opened the doors as well.
Wow. So you were willing to do some work that you wasn't the main thing you were doing. Like, you were willing to be the usher before they let you be the preacher.
Yes, sir.
Let's write that down. That's probably good.
That was.
But, but it's important because so many people, especially in the social media world, everybody wants to be the star. Everybody wants it right now.
Like that.
No one wants to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, but you're showing that you laid that foundation. We talk about, I said at the beginning, master, magnify, and monetize. We talk about that master right here. You mastered the message, you mastered the process, and mastered who you are, so that when you go and talk to these stations, you know, you're clear on that. So that's good stuff. Now, because I know that's taking you to, we're gonna give a quick promo for you with this. Is it the Capitol? Is that the Capitol Jazz Festival?
Capitol Jazz.
I know it's in like Pelican City.
Top jazz festivals in the country.
And you're one of the hosts for that, so that's exciting. I mean, it's weird because, you know, I know when these jazz festivals started, it was like jazz, and now it's kind of like jazz and R&B and stuff.
That's most of them. You know, it's sad in a sense that, you know, there was a time when a jazz festival was a straight up jazz festival, right? But unfortunately, here in the States, we don't support jazz in the way that other countries do. Right. Straight ahead jazz, traditional jazz, even contemporary jazz or smooth jazz. I hate that term, which is why my show is called the Cool Jazz Countdown, because I don't play that smooth stuff. Anyway, so what folks started to do was to bring an R&B act in to subsidize, right, to keep the doors. But unfortunately, there was such a draw from those artists that now, you know, even though jazz is in the name of most of these festivals, there aren't as many jazz acts. Nonetheless, great festivals, you know, and Capitol Jazz being one of the premier out there. But they do a good job of balancing things out. They also have the cruise as well that I've been on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
man. So that's dope, because now let's talk about where other places your voice is taking you. Like I said at the beginning, you are the voice of Sheets. So we'll talk about the voice acting first, because you and your family were on giant commercials and things. So let's get to the voice. Let's stick with the voice first before we started showing the world this face of yours. But and you're the man with the voice. First of all, who came up with the man with the voice?
All right, so any name that I've ever used, I say it with all of my might and my heart that God has given me that, right? Bassman. When I first started on radio, I simply went by my God-given name, my government name, the name my parents gave me, Marcellus Shepard. Well, I'm walking on campus one day, see these two young ladies, and Gwen says, "Hey, Bassman." She had heard the show, you know, the night before. I said, "Bassman, what is that?" "Oh, that's what you sound like." I was like, all right, whatever. Literally a week later, I see somebody else. They're like, "Man, you on the radio sounding like a bass man or something." Wow. I said, "Okay, God, I hear you." So then I became the bass man. Now, as far as the man with the voice, I would host shows all over the place, you know, in the city, outside of the city, internationally even. And anytime I came off stage, there was always some woman saying, "Oh, there's that man with the voice." Multiple times. Right. And so I said, "Okay, God, I hear you." So that became my brand, the man with the voice.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of figured that you don't seem like the guy that's giving yourself nicknames. So I kind of figured that's where it was an organic thing that was given to you.
I do have some nicknames for myself, but yeah, we won't talk about that.
But so that's cool. That's cool. I think that we talk about in marketing, listen to your target audience, listen to the market, let them dictate to you how you're going to serve them. So that right there, not even, maybe you weren't even proactively thinking that, but you were open to listening to that, understand.
Yes.
This is what they're going to see and hear. Why would you fight that?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the voice acting though, because how do you even get into, what was your first voice acting gig? And then how did you decide to make that transition or add that, not transition, you got to stop what you're doing, but add that to your repertoire?
Well, as a broadcaster, you finish your shift and production will have a stack of spots for you to do.
Okay.
Right, for station folks, for customers at the station.
Gotcha.
People who paid the station to be on air, so we would record those. But then in addition to that, I would hear some other spots that sounded totally different, that were not by us, and the production values were much higher. They sounded great. Then I found out that those folks were getting much more money than we were for that. Right. And I said, well, wait a minute, I want to do that. So did my research again and found out that, these were professionally trained voice actors. And so I sought out the training to start to become a professional voice actor, because doing commercials as a broadcaster is totally different than doing a professional commercial as a voice actor. Totally different tone, right? And I had to learn that. That was a hard thing for me to learn initially, getting out of my broadcast sound. Because as a broadcaster, some are loud, right? But we all have a similar phrasing, if you will.
Right.
And for me, having so much resonance in my voice, I was always stretching out words because to me it sounded good, If you listen to me in the afternoon, it was WEAA 88.9 FM, letting all that lush out. But trying to do that on commercial copy, it don't sound good. It don't sound good. So working with coaches, they allow me to break out of those habits, right? And I started doing spots. I actually don't remember what my first spot was, who my first customer was, but I've been doing voiceover professionally for over 15 years now.
Do you have an agent that does the booking for you, or that's something else you go out and do this all on your own too?
Both.
Okay.
So I tell everyone, because I'm a voice coach as well, voiceover coach. And I tell all of my students, because everybody gets in the game like, I gotta get an agent. You don't have to have an agent to be successful, right? Most agents take 20%, which means that you need to be doing 80% of the work anyway, right? Meaning that you're not resting on your laurels or looking for them to bring you all the business. You have to develop relationships, B2B, people who have businesses, who need commercials or who need a voice for their social media spot or whatever the case is. And outside of that, then of course I get auditions from my agents. I have an East Coast agent, I have a Midwest agent, and I have an LA agent as well. Wow. Yeah. And I grew into that. That wasn't off the top, right? I started with East Coast and then moved out across.
And you mentioned about now you actually coach voice acting and voiceover. I actually took the intro class, which, just like you said, being someone who has always been told you got a deep voice, and radio and entertainment was always my background too. First in your class was like, no, you gotta, it's a totally different style of speaking and everything. It's not just the bottom, the boom as you called it in our class. Not just that.
That's one of the big things that I try to tell folks, because people will hear from other folks. Oh, you got a nice voice. You should be in radio, or you should be doing commercials. But voiceover is so much more than simply having a nice voice, right? If you can't bring somebody else's words to life, then to them your voice isn't even nice at all. Right? It's not nice anymore. It's just because you can't do anything for it.
Like having it's your instrument. If you can't play it, what good is it doing?
So if you're not in the right key, it's not gonna work.
Wow. So for somebody who's interested in getting in voiceover, voice acting, after they register for your class, your intro class, what could they be doing at home to kind of prepare themselves or get better, so that when opportunities come, they can at least be ready to entertain them?
Well, coaching is key, number one, right? You have to have coaching. There's steps to this thing. A lot of folks think that, they could just jump right in and get a demo produced, start circulating that demo and get work, right? You can hook up with a producer or studio that produces demos and get a nice demo produced, because they'll tell you exactly what to say, how to say it, and all of that.
Right.
And then you're sending it out to clients, and you might start getting some bites, but you don't remember what they told you in that one-hour session to produce that, right? And then you can't perform what you've now been contracted to do. So how do you learn that? Through coaching, hours of coaching. Voiceover is not an overnight thing, right? You got to put in work. So for those who are looking to get into it, number one, find a coach, whether it's myself or anyone else. I do that intro class, as you mentioned, but I also do one-on-one. You don't have to do the intro class to get the one-on-one. You can start out with the one-on-one, but you have to get coaching in. For those who think they may want to do it, I tell folks, start reading out loud every day. Not just talking, but physically taking some copy, newspaper article, book, right? If you want to be a narrator, I tell you to go to your closet and read out loud for an hour.
Wow.
Because that's what you're going to be doing as a narrator, right? For hours, right? If audiobooks is your jam. But you have to get in the mindset and in the habit of reading out loud and bringing those words to life as if they are your own.
I love that, because what you just showed us is that even, it's just, you can't take anything for granted.
You cannot.
Because someone makes it look easy, it's because they've trained in it and become a professional at it. It's not because it is easy. Right. So I think that's so important. I think something like this, people think, oh, it's fun, I'm gonna go do it, and you know, it's work. And
It's work.
Yeah, I want you to share that, so I appreciate that. We're gonna talk about this sheets thing, and then we'll get into the physical acting, because I know your resume on that is steadily growing and expanding, and just your sense of humor, like you have a range. You're such a range. So talk about sheets. Like when you got that, because is it fair to say that was your biggest, nationwide?
One of my biggest campaigns. It's regional, because Sheets is only from Pennsylvania down to Carolina.
Okay.
And West Virginia, but yeah, all down the East Coast there. But Sheets definitely is one of my biggest campaigns. And crazy enough, that was one of the longest campaigns for auditioning. It lasted 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, from the initial audition to the callback. Then they wanted to do a demo session as well with the folks that they had selected. And crazy enough, it came down to me and one other person, a female, in fact. And man, let me tell you, it was great. When I finally booked the session, or booked the gig, we had a live directed session. And in a live directed session, you know, it's done over the internet. Whether you're at home in your home studio, which we could talk about that too, or you're in another studio. But in a directed session, you can have anywhere from 2 on up people on the line. So there were about 10 people on the line listening to me. And the main producer told me that for this campaign, they had listened to over 900 voices. 900 voices before they settled on mine. Yeah.
Now y'all have listened to him for almost 30 minutes here, right? And you hear this voice. But to hear that and know still, you had to compete with 900 people.
900 people.
And that's important, because you understand that, look, just being talented is not enough. And you're teaching so much, even, like I said, we're having a conversation, but I hope y'all are picking up what's being put down, because, that's important too. A lot of people think, well, I'm talented, I should have it. You know, I've been working at it, I should be rewarded. But so is everybody else. Like, so is everybody else. And you got to remember that. So that's so great, man. That's so great. Let's first of all, before we transition, tell people how they can get information on your voice acting.
Most definitely. So 2 ways. Number 1, you can follow me on IG at The Man With The Voice, or you can go directly to my website, themanwiththevoice.com.
Awesome. Now, it's still, I'll never get used to just sitting in my house doing whatever, and all of a sudden I hear your voice on my TV, and I'm like, what? Darn Marcellus. Well, man, so let's talk about acting. And I know, I would say this, I watch you, and I've seen you, and I know you've definitely caught the bug. So you love what you do, and I love watching you love what you do, because I would love to do those things too. So watching you, it's just great watching you. So talk about when you first decided, okay, now, because you've been in radio, which is behind the scenes, voiceover is behind the scenes. When you finally stepped out and was like, you know what, I'm gonna be on camera now. What was that moment like? And what was do you remember your first acting gig?
I remember my first time on camera. So while at Morgan, I took a couple of theater classes. Okay. If Morgan at the time had minors, they didn't, I would have qualified for a minor in theater. Okay. Nonetheless, my first acting gig as a background actor was on The Wire.
Okay. I thought it was The Wire, but I didn't want to be wrong on my own show.
It was The Wire.
Okay.
And after being on The Wire and seeing everything that was going on, like my mind was blown. I was like, oh my gosh, like I want this. Wow. Right? Now the thing with being a screen actor, you have to be available. There's the audition. There's the callback audition, right? There's the table read. Then there's the actual shoot. Now, having a full-time job, you know, that can be hard for some people, and it was hard for me. So I really could not find the time back then to try to pursue, you know, some of these larger roles. So I did background acting for years. But the beauty of background acting is it taught me the business. Right. Because I became a student of the acting game. While I was on set, I was not just shooting the breeze in awe of everything I saw. I was taking meticulous notes, you know. What is the actor doing? How are they behaving in the space when the camera's on and when the camera's off, right? How do they interact with other actors and background actors and directors and producers? What are the producers doing? What is the DP doing, right? What is the associate producer doing? I'm seeing that whole process, and from that it allowed me to make my mind up on what I needed to do, which number one was to get coaching. Okay. So took a couple of acting classes, and it fully solidified what I was doing mindset-wise. But my first on-screen principal role was a film called Bachelorette's Degree, which came out well over 10 years ago now. And I was one of the co-stars of that. I got the girl in the end.
You alpha. Of course you did. That's what we do.
But you know, after that, I was like, okay, I'm really digging this, right? And God has been so good and just opened doors for me to pursue other roles and larger roles. And man, like in the last 3-4 years, I've been in at least 7, 8, 9.
It's like every time I turn around,
films.
And you are in front of the camera, I'm like,
yeah, you know, and commercials, on-screen commercials, whether it's for Giant, which I was so blessed to be a part of that campaign because that's the largest commercial campaign I've done. Okay. And that commercial ran for most of 2023. Like literally every day, somebody was calling me saying that they either heard me or they saw me.
And that was your real family in the commercial, wasn't it?
It's my act. That was the beauty of that commercial.
That was wonderful, man.
Was that they called me and said, hey, we want your family to be in the commercial too, because in the audition process, I talked about my family at length, you know, and how much they love eating my barbecue. It was a barbecue commercial for those who
everybody seen it. They all seen it. Everybody.
So yeah, so when they told me they wanted my family to be in it, I was like, oh man. So one of my sons was in it. My middle son, he could not get off work. He had a training he was doing, couldn't get out of, so he couldn't be in it. But so one of my sons, my wife, and to have them on set was just, man, it felt so good. For them to finally see what it is that I do, how I do it, you know, the whole process. So I was just smiling from ear to ear, sitting next to my son, getting his makeup and, you know, wardrobe and all of that. But to have them there in that moment at the end of that commercial was everything, man. So, yeah.
You did a Christmas movie. What was the name of the movie? The one that just came out. You might have done more than one.
A Naughty Christmas.
Naughty Christmas
story.
I bring it up for two reasons.
Okay.
One, because it was hilarious. Okay. but also it was on Tubi.
Yeah.
So I bring that up because Tubi catches a bad rap, man. I want to set the record straight about people in Tubi. And there's some bad stuff on Tubi, but I think people just seem so hell bent on finding negativity and stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that there's a movie, like someone actually went through the whole process, made a movie, and got it on Tubi while somebody else is home, not even going after a dream, and feel like they got the right to say something about somebody, it just ticks me off sometimes. This movie was good though. So, the reason I bring it up is because people might hear Tubi and think, oh gosh, it's a Tubi movie.
Right, so let me say this about Tubi. Tubi does have a bad rap. What Tubi does, it allows filmmakers who will never have an opportunity in the traditional space to produce a film and present it to have nationwide or international distribution on it. It gives them an opportunity to do so. So it gives, Joe Blow the opportunity, who may have never shot anything in his life, but has an idea. It's given him the space to do it. Now, did Joe Blow have the budget to have proper lighting, proper audio, proper cameras, right, all of that? Yeah. No. Right. But it gives people an opportunity to put something out there that they would never have an opportunity to. In addition to that, or in addition to Joe Blow, there are others who do have budgets, who do have trained professional actors, who have some good stuff on their resume or credentials on their resume, right? It gives them an opportunity to put their stuff out there too. So for every 2 or 3 that's just crazy, there are another 5 to 6 that are great, right? So there's some highly entertaining stuff on Tubi, both ways. So yeah,
and it was great, and it was great because it was hilarious. Like the movie
was hilarious.
My wife, you know what? I just remembered about one, and I'm a spoiler alert. I don't know if it's still on there or not because it was a Christmas movie.
It's still on there.
This is just a personal question from me and my wife.
Oh Lord.
The dog, man. The dog.
Yeah.
What was that about? Like who said?
That was the director who was also the writer, Trey Walker.
Okay.
A character that he just came up. Now, crazy enough for me, I share a name, or a family member of mine shares a name with the dog.
Wow.
Uncle Rufus. Yeah. Uncle Rufus is my crazy family member on social media.
Yes.
But yeah, so for those who haven't seen it, there is an actual man who thinks he's a dog and he physically acts like a dog. But yeah, of course. But it's a crazy movie. Check it out when you can. But I've definitely had the opportunity to be a part of some great projects over the years. Recently we owned this city.
Yeah, he was in that. That's right.
I was definitely in there. Good. Yeah, playing an FBI agent in there. Agent, what was his name? Lord, it's based on a real life story too. I can't remember his name right now. But anyway, yes, We Own the City, which is on HBO Max. I play an FBI agent, but crazy enough, they took one of the scenes out, so it never gets explained that I'm an FBI agent, special agent in charge. So when people see it and hear me, they think that I'm just a regular police officer.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm FBI. But yes, Shirley, brand new movie on Netflix, just recently released, which is the biopic on the incredible African-American senator who ran for president, or Congresswoman, Shirley Chisholm, with Regina King. Yeah. So I had a pleasure of having a role in that film as well. I did, yes. I introduced. I was right.
I still gotta watch the movie. So
gotcha.
I haven't watched it yet. So.
And that was shot out in. It was shot in Cincinnati.
Okay.
Yeah, but the setting for it is Brooklyn and DC. But it was an incredible film. Incredible film. Worked with some great actors on that. One of which, rest in peace, Lance Riddick, who came from The Wire.
Right.
And let me tell you, being in the room.
So y'all had this a while ago then?
It was shot 2 years ago.
Oh wow, okay.
It just finally came out.
Wow.
Yeah. But I spent a good amount of time with him and others in the green room, and it just, they made me feel like I belonged. Like they took out, the imposter syndrome and all of that, and they really made me feel like I belonged. And, ever since, bro. Yeah.
We're going to take a break because we're going to talk about some hip hop in a second, but you just made me think about that when you talk about that imposter syndrome. Maybe you can give a word before we go to break to those who may think they want to get into whether it be acting, voice acting, and they've been trying to do it part-time, don't feel like they fit in. What would you say to them to encourage them that they do fit in? And if it's for them, go after and get it.
Most definitely, for anybody out there, whatever profession you're in, when you are doing the work, you belong. It doesn't matter where you are on the scale, on the spectrum. If you are doing the work, day in and day out, you belong, and you are on your way.
Awesome. We're going to take a break real quick, get into a couple of hip-hop questions like we do with every guest.
Yes, sir.
Watching Born to be Dope. We'll be right back after this. Tell me this sounds familiar if you're an author. You've published your book, you've sold a few hundred copies, and now you're like, well, what to do next? Before you go out trying to write another book, I want to talk to you about Author Media Camp. Now, Media Camp is a 6-week program where we're going to show you how to take your $20 book and build a thriving media platform off of it, how to take your book and turn it into a film, turn it into a TV show, turn it into your online course, how to build visual media from your course, from your book, so that you now position yourself as the celebrity authority. I'm going to show you how to 10x your impact, influence, and income from the content you already have by building a visual media platform. And you can go out and buy all the equipment. You can go out and do all the studying and film all the stuff yourself, or you can get with a group that's already doing it. They can show you in 6 weeks how to build those things out and then bring you into our studios to film it for you. So we're gonna actually help you not just build it, but then film it so that you have quality, professional level, premium looking video content to go with your brand. So if that sounds like you, I wanna invite you to visit btbmediacamp.com, btbmediacamp.com. Get all the information on the Media Camp and schedule a call so we can discuss your project, discuss more in depth about the program and see if it's a fit for you. And it's not just for authors. If you're a speaker, if you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur and an expert, and you know you're trying to develop something bigger than what you already have, then go to BTB Media Camp. Let's schedule a call. Talk to you soon. Hey, this is Ryan C. Greene, executive producer of Born to be Dope. And if you know the Born to be Dope is more than just a TV show or more than just a podcast. We're a movement all about celebrating being unapologetically great at being you. And right now I'm excited to announce we're casting for our next Born to be Dope visual mixtape and live summit. So if you're a speaker, author, coach, expert, just somebody with a cool story, and you know that you have something that can help people master, magnify, or monetize their unique dopeness so they can be successful and 10x their impact, influence, and income in business and life, then we want to talk to you. We want to feature you in our next visual mixtape. So we're casting now. You can go to borntobedope.com, get all the information on what visual mixtape is, what we're looking for, how you can be in our film, how you can speak on our stage, and how you can share your story and grow your business by helping other people. So we're excited about it. We want to help you grow your business. We want to share your story with the world. So go to borntobedope.com. Let's talk. Let's schedule a call so we can discuss the options with you. I can't wait to talk to you. Be dope. Hey, whenever I'm wearing my Born to be Dope apparel, people ask me, where can I get one of those? And the answer is weardopetees.com. That's Tees. Go to weardopetees.com. You can go and see the full Born to be Dope apparel line. Get your favorite shirts, get your favorite hoodie, buy one for you, buy one for a friend. Rep the brand that reps you. Go to weardopetees.com. Get your shirts today. Hey, if you're enjoying this show and you're born to be dope, then we need your help. Make sure you go ahead and like this show, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're listening to it on your podcast streamer, like the show, but also subscribe. Subscribe to the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then share it out. Tell someone else about it. We only can grow this show as fast as you help us grow. So go ahead and make sure you do that, like the show, subscribe, and share it. Then also make sure you join the conversation at the Born to be Dope Cypher. You can go to borntobedopecypher.com and join our private group. We're having all the inside convo, all the behind the scenes stuff, all the dope conversation starters are going on in the Born to be Dope Cypher. So make sure you go to borntobedopecypher.com and join the Facebook group now. All right, welcome back. You know, when you see the boom boxes, you know what that means. It's time to get into some hip hop. I was probably start saying a year after a while, it's 51 years, but 50 years right now, hip hop. And the reason Born to be Dope was even birthed and the reason I added hip hop to it is because when I talk about celebrating being unapologetically great at being you, nothing has done that more than hip hop in the culture. And that's really where it came from. Growing up in hip hop, we've always seen that braggadocious style, that unapologetic style, and now we've seen that it's taken over the whole world. Like, you can't turn on anything without it being hip hop in it, for good or or bad. But so I want to talk about hip hop with you. I like to ask everybody similar questions to get started. But so tell me do you remember the moment when hip hop made you pay attention to like, this is something different?
Wow.
Music culture, that had to be like a song, but like a culture moment, maybe
Jam on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wiki. Back in the day, I used to.
Wiki.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was on it. I used to pop lock back in the day.
Okay.
Listen, you guys are looking at a pop lock champion back in 1984 in elementary school.
Wow.
Yeah, I got free lunch for a week. No, free ice cream for a week at Woodmore Elementary, right?
You went to Woodmore?
I went to Woodmore.
Oh, I'm thinking about Woodmore at home, but you
Yeah, Woodmore.
Okay, yeah. We got Woodmore back in Baltimore too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's when I fell in love with hip hop, and it's been a part of my life ever since.
You have I just stopped using the term spirit. I heard that's offensive to natives, so I'll try to find different words. So we'll use alter ego. You have an alter ego rapper that you like. When you listen to it, you've seen, just follow the career, you be like, if I were a rapper, or if rap were real life, that's who I would be. That's the person that speaks to me. That's the personality.
Let's see. For me, there are a couple.
Okay.
On one end, like Biggie was always, right? But Rakim, has always spoke to me. J. Cole is one of my favorite rappers now. J. Cole and Kendrick, for the younger cats out there. And matter of fact, I listened to J. Cole so much for at least the last 3 years. The Spotify Wrapped.
Yeah.
At the end of the year when they show you.
Yeah.
My top artist has been J. Cole for like the last 3 years. Yeah.
So what's it about J. Cole that resonates with you so much?
It's
I like it too.
His flow, his subject matter. He's out the box. He's unpredictable. And I love that about him. Yeah. I mean, that speaks to who I am as a person. You can't fit me in any box. I've always colored outside the lines. I have, not to sound crazy, but multiple personalities, right? I can be serious when needed. I can also act a fool. On social media, if you follow me on social media, you'll see some of that in these skits that I do. So yeah, those are some of the rappers that speak to me, and I definitely have some of those same characteristics.
When I think about Cole, I remember now he had this middle child, because that's really what he is. He's young enough to appeal to younger generation, but he's still relevant enough to appeal to the older generation as well. So definitely listen to him and appreciate that as well. So that's cool. What's your go-to song that when you need to get pumped, when you like, what, this jazz stuff is killing me, I need something a little harder?
Well, let me say, the jazz stuff never kills me.
Okay.
And crazy enough, like you were talking about earlier, I was young when I came into jazz. I didn't grow up with jazz, but I studied jazz as a student of it, right? And out of that, I learned so much about jazz and realized that there's so much jazz in hip hop.
Right.
I would be playing a song from Bron Carter, great jazz bassist who used to play with Miles Davis. I'm like, wait a minute. This Tribe Called Quest, right? Some of your top hip hop songs have samples in them from jazz artists, which, just totally blew my mind. So jazz birthed. Yeah.
And I want to go there because that's what I really want to talk about too, because I don't get to talk to jazz aficionados like yourself, and I am by no means a jazz aficionado, so it's like I don't know. I have no problem telling people I don't know something because I'm always willing to learn. But for me, and I think a lot of hip hop, we were introduced to jazz through A Tribe Called Quest. They were one of the first groups that I can recall that started sampling jazz. You had a lot of people sampling funk or sampling James Brown type stuff. So whoever you classify James Brown, soul, whatever. But the jazz piece, I think, was really introduced through Tribe, specifically Q-Tip. And I've seen videos that show out the samples that they use and just how they use a stand-up bass here or a guitar here. what is there something that maybe you can educate some of our viewers too? Some jazz or maybe some hip hop songs rather that include samples from jazz that you like, that we should go listen to the original jazz songs.
Most definitely. I mean, gosh, there's so many too. All right, let me see what comes to mind. So Jeff Lorber.
Okay. So his last name?
Lorber, Lorber.
Okay.
Jeff Lorber has plenty of samples out there, but in particular, Biggie, with Little Kim, Crush on You.
Okay.
He had a song called Rain Dance. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. They literally,
jazz sample?
It's a jazz sample. Also Biggie, Herb Alpert had a song called Rise. Also,
I know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Hypnotize, isn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
Then you also have one of the greatest vibraphonists out there, the one and only, I was about to call him something different. Lord have mercy, wait a minute. I see his face and everything. Good gosh, Shemani, who am I talking about?
The vibraphone thing that they hit.
I know, and it's sad because I see his face. Yeah, I'm talking about Roy Ayers. Thank you.
Okay, I was afraid to make him.
Roy probably has a good 30 songs that have been sampled in hip hop. Roy is still out there. Roy is still out there playing well into his 80s. But yeah, a lot of great joints. I'm going to email you a whole list, but it would be a long list because jazz lives in hip hop and it has for years. Still does. Cats are still pulling from it.
What do you think when you listen to hip hop now? And I mean like the new stuff. What's your takeaway? What do you think? How you feel about the industry now?
Bro, let me tell you. I think I stopped watching some of the award shows, music award shows, like 3-4 years ago. Because I would turn it on and I'm like, who's this? Yeah. What is that? Like, and when I listen to commercial radio, it's just bits and pieces because most of the songs just don't resonate with me, right? Because they've been picked by the system to degrade our community, to keep in our kids' minds this cycle, right, of thinking. And I can't allow that type of programming to get into my head, so I turn it off. There aren't a lot of new artists that resonate with me, which is probably why, I hold on to my staples within the younger kids out there, right? A J. Cole.
Right, once you find somebody, you're like, all right, I don't need to go.
I don't
keep looking like, let's be cool, right? I'm gonna keep it right here.
But every now and then, Big Sean, okay.
Right. Yeah.
I like that. Drake occasionally.
Yeah, we in the same box, we in the same group.
Yeah, we know what we like and we roll with that.
Even some of the younger guys, when I find a song I like, then I go listen to the album and it's like, I can't even do this.
Cats do not have a good balance of songs on their albums that can be singles, right? And there used to be a time where we had that A side and that B side, and the B side, those were the cuts that did not make it to the radio, but they were still fire, right? But now we're in such a single-based system that those other cuts are literally just put on there to make up the balance of the album so that they make good on their contract.
And you think about somebody like Cardi B. I love Cardi B, her personality, what I see on, like, there's not anything negative against her. But when you think about it, I'm amazed she's only had one commercial album in her career.
Wow.
She puts out one single a year. She doesn't have a second, she's never had a follow-up album after that Invasion of Privacy.
She for the streets.
But she's just a single, so we talk about that. It's no longer, he said about the music and the culture and the quality and education coming. Our rappers were smart.
Yeah.
Like they read, they were educating us on something. So
they had mathematical problems within, or equations within the way they rhyme, right?
I mean,
if you look at Andre 3000, right? And there are cats who have broken down his grammatical theory, if you will, and putting together. And it's amazing, but most cats aren't thinking like that. They're just talking. Mostly about things they never experienced in their
Just heard
life.
somebody else rap about it. Say like, this is what I'm supposed to rap about. Yeah. Is there a song? And this will be our last question. Is there a song that when you hear it, you're like, you know what? This person was in my head when they wrote this because this is me all the way.
Wow. That is me all the way.
Maybe not even lifestyle. Maybe just like this makes me feel alive. Maybe that's a little less personal.
You know, Kendrick Lamar's "Be Alright," right? That song speaks to me. You know, no matter what's going on in your life, you know, no matter how great things are, no matter how effed up things are, at the end of the day, as long as we got God, we're gonna be all right. And that has always spoke to me, right? We're gonna be all right. I know that no matter what I got going on, I'm gonna be all right. As long as I got the man upstairs with me. So he's always riding shotgun.
Absolutely. Man, Marcellus, Bassman, man with the voice, Uncle Rufus. We ain't even getting into him yet.
Y'all gotta check out Uncle Rufus.
But thank you so much for coming, man. I know the audience has learned something, has gained something, and hopefully been encouraged about just even pursuing a passion of theirs on the microphone or on camera. Tell people how they can follow you, how they can, get in touch with you, support you, even learn from you. Give it all to us one more time.
Most definitely. First and foremost, Ryan, thank you for allowing me to be here. It's a beautiful set. Born to be dope. This brother is one of the baddest in the game. Always dropping gems for free that y'all should be paying for. So pay him homage. Do definitely like, subscribe, share. For me, follow me at The Man With The Voice. I have several films. Actually, I've had 4 films come out in the last 4 months, which is great. We talked about one, An Naughty Christmas, but there's also one called There Is a Monster, which is streaming on all platforms except for Netflix. There's also one called an inspirational film called Never Give Up that came out back in December that is streaming on all platforms as well. Then I also have another Christmas movie, Not As Wild, coming out later this year, and I also have a biopic coming out later this year on Timothy McVeigh.
Oh, wow.
That I'm a part of as well. So be on the lookout for that. But follow me at The Man With The Voice. Check out my syndicated show, Cool Jazz Countdown. Out of that show a few years ago was birthed a new show, which is a conversation piece called Cool Jazz Conversations, when I sit down with the artists and chop it up for an hour. So I hope to have that syndicated by the end of the year as well. Currently that airs down in South Carolina at WSSB. But you can check out Cool Jazz Conversations as well as Cool Jazz Countdown. They're streaming on all platforms, streaming platforms. Just type it in and you can follow us at both of those names as well on social media. Yes, themanwiththevoice.com for upcoming voiceover workshops. Definitely Cooking with the Bassman. We didn't talk about that as much, but I'm a pit master. I sell barbecue. I do pop-ups once a month. So go to Cooking with the Bassman, no G, Cooking, I-N, with the Bassman.com. And thank you for the time, my brother.
It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad you came through and shared your knowledge with us. Again, this is all about helping you just master, magnify, monetize your unique dopeness. Know what makes you dope. Figure out how to master that, how to monetize it, how to magnify it, and that's what we're all about. So be unapologetically great at being you. I am Ryan C. Greene. Until next time, be dope.
Peace.
This is the illest rhyme I ever wrote. Said I was born to be dope. I dream big like my visions were projected on the movie screen. Beach side staring into watercolor bluish screen. Muscle with the hustle, turn my dreams into reality. I'm my ancestors while there's dreams on the balcony. Scribbling notes into the margin of my composition. For what's next, master efforts for my ambition. I failed to step back but kept pushing. Reinventing myself, establish a better footing.